I just didn't want to do it this morning. I was busy. And so I decided to do it later on this afternoon. The new Pootie Twing account has been emailing me just in the last 45 minutes or so. They thought that they got me a strike when I couldn't come on, which hasn't happened. But it shows that they're trying. They are trying. Now he just asked me for Sherilyn's numbers, so I sent out the email to investigators and everyone and said, they already have Sherilyn's phone number. All I have to say about this whole situation is, one, this dude who I am accusing of child trafficking and hurting kids and murdering my friend and blah, 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 is making videos of my house blowing up and burning down, of me dead in a noose after I've been lynched with all of that. And so I guess these videos that he's making threats to me and all that, that's convincing people that he's incapable of murder and committing crimes, right? I mean that's how it works. His little videos and all their little comments and stuff in here and all the emails, the weird ass emails that I get, that's convincing people that he's innocent, right? Because that's obviously what he thinks. And they can dance around and laugh. I can track my numbers. The reason why is because after I get done with these lives, I get a thing saying how many people, including the bots, that there were involved. But the numbers are never as high when it first stops, when I first end up. So I can check those numbers. Those usually are real. Then it will go up like this last time, 7,000 people. And so I just go from 7,000 and where it stops, and then it counts from after that, you know? And I can tell you that there are people, even in town, who are watching every fucking video I make now. And I know, because when I go out and about, they're bringing it up to me and talking to me, you know? And so, the whole situation with this thing is that they're trying to hide their their pedophile rank. They can say whatever the fuck they want about Sherilyn. The fact remains they thought they fucking had me. You know? And now they're in here calling me a reptile. You know? Because they really do think all of you are dumbasses. But from the numbers that I can tell from the bots, compared to the numbers that ended up, about 600 people watched that video. You know? Maybe. I definitely have a yard in my sign. There's no signs. It's one sign. It's one board. You know? I'm also the dude in town who's actually getting ready to fucking bust this fucking meth operation that the sheriff's office has been involved with, that everybody seems to know about, but no one wants to fucking do a thing about it. I'm also in an area where there are a lot of people who are running around who just don't want to even care. They don't care about fucking trafficked kids. They don't care about kids getting hurt and shit like that, as long as they get what the fuck they want. You know? And, well, then you have your head up your ass, or you're one of them. Because plenty of people in town know about the meth operation going on in Omaha. You know? And I don't even know who you are. You're saying you live across the street from me, but I don't even know who the fuck you are. You know? And so, well, I don't believe you. I don't believe you, Amy Jones. I think you're fake. And people in town can say whatever the fuck they want. You better hope that there's not one investigator out there who's actually looked into this, who thinks, wow, if I break this open, I could become famous. You better hope there's not one. You better hope that there's not one person in the legal possession or in the legal profession, unless you're banking on them all being bad. How can you say that there isn't just one out there who is actually listening to what I'm saying? Hey, Elizabeth, listen to what I'm saying, and are starting to look into it. How would you know that? You don't. You don't. And I know people are watching. I know people in town watch these videos all the time. I just had a woman come up and ask me about several of my videos, and she was just like, I've seen every single one that you've done lately now. You know, everyone in town. They're all watching this shit. They're all watching this shit. It's a small town. I'm the best news that this town has had in a while. You know, certainly the more interesting. I'm not banned. I didn't get anything. They thought they had me. They thought they had me. And it went right out their fingers. You know? You know, I don't really care. And if there are people in town who are actually fucking talking to goddamn fucking pedophiles and wanting to protect pedophiles, all I have to say to you is enjoy the fucking dark. I would suggest that you pull your head out of your fucking ass and start breathing oxygen before you asphyxiate. Because that's what this whole shit is about. Child traffickers. You actually want to deal with this and deal with them and all of that, you know? Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. You know? Pedopotus. Right. Fuck. I know this dude who's actually has a felony, and he was just like, you know, I can't even vote. How is it that you can have a felon for a president? So you can't vote, but you can run for fucking president. You know? And the shit that's coming out, they're hiding everything. They're doing it out in the open. They're not even trying to fucking hide it. You know? No one is safe here. They lurk among us. You know? The problem here in town is that there's a lot of people involved with that fucking meth operation. There's a lot of people in town who are involved with that meth operation. And I can guarantee you, that meth operation has been on the radar of law officials for quite some time. It's just they couldn't get any information. They couldn't get anyone to talk, you know? And now, everyone is talking in town, you know? Everyone in town is talking. And so, I live in Harlan. The meth operation is in Harlan. Oh, and their directed energy weapon shit has been off the fucking charts. Off the charts. They're probably upset because they don't even know why I'm surviving that. You know? They don't even know why I'm surviving that. And it's because I'm here on a mission from heaven, from God. That's what my purpose is. That's the only explanation as to why I am still here and standing and able to do what I've been able to do. Because of God. You know? There's no other explanation for that. It was God that got involved and heaven that got involved that actually took a 2x4 against my head when it came to Cheryl. You know? That's the whole reason why there was this rush to get that bag done. You know? It's weird because it just all... once you start thinking about it, and again, look into Sherilyn. I bet you're going to have direct fucking contact with Daniel Doud. If not Doug Mesner, Lucian Greaves, or the Satanic Temple. I bet you're going to have a fucking direct contact there. Just like you did if you would look at Glenna. Same fucking thing. Direct contact. And these people are out there doing videos where they're threatening to murder me and my dogs and burn my house down and all this other weird bullshit. And I guess that's in order to convince people of their innocence and how they would never murder people. They would just threaten it, but they would never do it. Because that's yesterday. Yesterday, that's what I said, was now they're running with this defense. I've never heard of this defense before, and I don't know if it would work in a court of law. I was just joshing. You know? I was just joshing. And that works, right? As a defense, you know? The whole thing about it is that it's really, really bizarre. The mentality, I don't get it, you know? Because the effect that I have seen in town is that people for years, because it's not like I just moved here. I've lived here for what, fucking 9 years now in this area. And people were more comfortable just saying, oh, he's a little touched. It's just in his head. There's no one out to get him. There's no one getting ready to do anything. Blah, 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 blah. But now, those flyers, they posted those flyers all over fucking town. All over. And it went all through Facebook. And it went all of there. So the whole, it's just in my head. There's no one after me. That bullshit got blown out the fucking window. And then they do all of this weird ass shit, all these weird ass videos. What's ending up happening is that people are just watching it and they know now. I've been telling the truth the whole time because it's not like I keep it secret. That's why I think heaven has me here and wants me here. Because really when it comes down to it, this is a small town and everyone has an idea who I am and what I'm involved with. And so there's no way I can be isolated in this town. None. It's 4,500 people. And they talk. Talk. And I've given a lot of them a lot to talk about. You know? And I'm not bitching. At one point I used to be. You know? It depends on what you ask. The Conspiracy Archive says, can I ask you something without you yelling at me? If you're one of them and you're asking me a fucking question, no, you won't get that you won't get that promise. Because I'm not going to be fucking manipulated. And that's what this game is all about. It's all what it was about. Those flyers were ridiculous, Elizabeth. Actually, as far as Scientology goes, I read Dianetics, which is what Scientology is based off of. It was a great book up until like the last 5 chapters. It was just all about therapy and how to help yourself and how to do therapy. The first big section of Dianetics with the last 5 chapters was all about money. It was all about money. Poor people aren't Scientologists. Isn't it funny how it works that way? There are no poor Scientologists, you know? But the shit is coming down. We just had an 8.8 in Alaska. That shit is going to start happening everywhere. Everywhere. You know? And so people can say whatever they want. The videos have everything to do with Messner. Every single video listed on that protection order had everything to do. I didn't even speak. Oh, and especially with the, I don't give a shit what you send me, dude. I don't care. They all had to deal with Doug Messner. There was all kinds of stuff going on. What I know is that there is a group who's trying to protect Doug Messner, and I would assume you're one of them. You know? I would assume that you're one of them. You want to come in here and you actually want to say, oh, Doug didn't do anything, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I lived it. I had the fucking paperwork, dickhead. You know, of course you're not. You're just some anonymous name with an anonymous picture and all of that. You know? That Satanic Temple after school daycare needs to be fucking looked at. The fact that actually you guys are starting to try and say that it was a child. So they sent that shit to the police and I got involved and I got a copy of it. So you're saying that a 1-year-old took out a protection order on me, right? Because that's what you switched it. It's a 1-year-old. You know? How the fuck does that work? I was going after a kid, but there's no police records of any sort whatsoever. But it's a 1-year-old, right? That protection order, it's a 1-year-old, because that's what you sent the cops. That's what I got when it went to the cops. You know, is a 1-year-old. What I'm saying is that the stupid shit that you guys come out with, you think is helping you, and it's not helping you at all. In fact, people are starting to look at you even harder. Because it's stupid. You know? It's stupid. When I watched all those videos, like I said, I walked to the Algona Police Department. It was Friday night. Because court was on Friday. And so I banged on the back door of the cops. And D'Angelo answered the door. And I told him I wasn't taking those videos down because they didn't have anything to do with any of the petitioners, but only and solely dealt with Doug Messner. Just like that video that you'll send out that's 43 seconds long about me saying how I attacked my nephew when I was 13. Why don't you guys have the balls enough to actually release the 14 plus minute video? And the reason why is because I talk about Messner through the whole fucking thing. You know? Don't send anything. I don't give a shit. You work as a group. You know? You work as a group. Okay. You are going away. Scotty Rice, who just gave out my phone number. You know? Who just gave out my phone number. So Scotty Rice is out there giving out my phone number. And these assholes, and you want to know what? Even if what you're saying is true, how does that stop your fucking child trafficking ring? How does it explain about Daniel Doud doing all those live videos as Pootie Twang when Owen ended up dead? How does that change anything? How does it change the gas station explosion? How does it change anything? Your shit, you're manipulating all of that shit. And you most likely have Ryan Miller, who was the police officer that was helping you out there. It's not like Neil Gross is so fascinating. Oh, he's the only one. That's not how it works. You know? And how would you know? How would you know if it was Pootie Conspiracy Archives? How would you know? You're just in here trying to discombobulate shit. You're a fucking anonymous person starting shit and thinking that everybody should fucking respect you because you have the Conspiracy Archives. Oh, this anonymous person who has this strong sense of superiority, you know? Dude, you make info on things. Nothing changes the fact that this child trafficking bullshit needs to be looked at. I just timed him out for 24 hours. Trust me, he'll be back on another account, you know? that protection order, other than the court that I had to go for the protection order, and then when Ryan Miller said that I did it, I don't have any other police record out there. Nothing. So they're saying that I actually went after a 1-year-old child, but there's not any kind of incident report or anything at all. You know? That's just what they want to do, is that they're trying to hide their shit. Doug Mesner is a bad dude, you know? I think it's all Michael Aquino. And under Michael Aquino, I think it's Gabe Hoffman. He's the next in charge. After Gabe Hoffman, I believe it's Thomas Schoenberger. He's the next in charge. And then it starts to break down to the worker bees. Daniel Doud, Corey Daniel, Geo Farnsworth, Terry Joyce, DeFango, the Sewertown group. And then it breaks off to Doug Mesner and the Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple, and Skills, aka Emily Thorne, aka Kara of Free Range Humans. It breaks off into that. And they're using that Satanic Temple after school daycare to target the kids. That's how it's working. And they're all working together on this pedophile ring, you know? All on this pedophile ring that needs to be investigated by someone with more authority than me. And they're going to be in here as an army, and they're going to make videos, and they're going to mention me, and they're going to go do 3 and 4 and 5 hour podcasts about me. But even if I was an alien lizard person who fucking ate small animals and children in one gulp, which I'm obviously not, it wouldn't change the fact that they are involved in a pedophile ring that needs to be investigated, it needs to be exposed, and it needs to be stopped. That's how it works. And I have a long ass history of having to deal with all of this shit. And they'll come in and they'll talk about my hair, and they'll come in and talk about my teeth. And they'll come in, oh, he's just not pretty. You can't look at him. He's old and he's fat and he's ugly. Blah, 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 blah. Things are becoming much more organized, you know? What they have is their little Satanic Temple bullshit. And Pootie has actually sent people out to go do it too. They have their dumbass little minions who are so eager to please because nobody wants them, that they'll do whatever they have to, you know? Well, my shitty ass teeth doesn't change the fact that this group is involved with fucking child trafficking and needs to be fucking investigated. I'm just timing them out. People in town watch this shit. And people know a lot about that meth operation. And it's only going to take one thing. And there's a lot of pans on the fire. You know? And they think that all of their creepy ass videos and all of their shit, you know? Dude, but they come in here and make all these veiled threats. Oh, I wouldn't want to see what happens to you if you went to jail. You know? It's just, it's a game. And they're all trying to hide their fucking pedophile bullshit. And it needs to be investigated. Hey, Mika, it needs to be investigated. That's what needs to happen. And they can send out all the weird-ass emails that they want. They can do whatever the fuck it is they want. But people are already looking into this shit. people are already looking into this, you know? And that's just, people are all ready. And all they have are their weird ass veiled threats and shit about my teeth, and it'll be shit about my hair. It's, you know, they can't stop what's already here to claim them, you know? And they're so full of hatred and they're so full of vitriol that it's not hard to understand that they're involved with what they are. You know, you can see it. They're fucking proud of it. They dance around and do all this bizarre, weird shit, thinking that they're convincing other people. And I don't even know what they think they're convincing people of. But I don't think that they're achieving their objective, you know? What they are is generic witches who sold their souls to the dark, and now it's time to pay the piper. You know? Thank you, Outspoken. I'll never stop. I'll never stop. And the whole thing about it is that they can say all the stupid shit they want to say, but I've been going after the cops ever since Nebraska State Patrolman cold case John Pankin. I dealt with them. I fucking went after him. Then when I went out to Algona, I had to deal with the whole Algona Police Department. Like I said, when I went and told D'Angelo that I wasn't taking those videos off of the internet because they had nothing to do with the petitioners, but only and solely dealt with Doug Mesner, that motherfucker actually looked me in the face and laughed at me and told me, we know. So they were working with them just like Neil Gross. Just like Neil Gross. See, Amy Jones, that's how I know that you're not real. Because people, you know, and the town is talking about it. It is. They are talking about it. But now she'll come up with another. This is small town Iowa. They do not have all kinds of fucking accounts that they can just come into. You know? I'm exposing them. And I'm not going to stop. And that's why they won't stop. That's the reason why they send me all these weird ass emails and they make all these weird ass videos, you know? It's just, the whole situation is bizarre, you know? And it's all a setup, you know? That's why they're in here doing the shit that they're doing. Because what'll end up happening, this is how it works. They come to you and act like they're supporters of you. And they just love you and they want to help you. And oh my God, I so identify with everything you're doing. And then it goes to, oh, we think the same. Oh, we're just so similar. We're just two peas in a fucking pod. And they do all kinds of shit. They send you a computer and they send you a bag and they help you with groceries until it comes down to the point where they want to slit your fucking throat. And then it always happens. Then they always try to slit your throat. And it's worked with a lot of survivors. I'm different though, you know? That's why they don't like me. That's why they don't like me. And so, you know, and I don't care. You know? You want to know what? I don't give a shit about my teeth or my hair or the fact that I'm old or the fact that I have wrinkles or I'm gray or I'm fat or anything like that. You want to know why? Because I'm not interested in dating anybody. don't give a shit. And if that's what determines, because let's be real, if I was good looking and cute and young and all of that, all you want to do is fuck those people, you know, so they don't get the respect either. That's why, you know, I'm old, which gives me the history. I grew up at Franklin. I can tell you all about the child trafficking that my family was involved with, that I tried to get exposed. I can tell you all the shit that was going on in Omaha, Nebraska in the 80s. I can tell you about my friend David that they murdered. And then Alan Bear sent me a towel with his blood and brain fragments in it because it was meant to tell me to shut up. And I did. At the time, I knew I couldn't win. I've been at this for a long fucking time. And I'm not going to stop, you know? Just because a fucking bunch of pedophiles actually want to pull their goddamn bullshit, send me weird emails, fucking make threats, you know? All of that. What part of I needed to get your group to stand up and strike me down? And it doesn't make any difference. Even if some dumbass shows up at my house and shoots me because your fucking signs with my address and now you're giving out my phone number, you know? And so in my own life, you'll give out my fucking phone number. Scott Rice, you know? But even if someone shows up and they're not connected to anything or anyone, it still fucking counts. Because you had everything to do with it. It still fucking counts. Even the least of you motherfuckers won't make any difference. It'll all count. You aren't gonna like the dark. And it's here to claim you, and there is nothing you can fucking do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. You know? And I do have to say that the shit that I end up having to deal with, I feel sorry for the younger generation. Because they're too stupid to realize how fucking ignorant and stupid they are. You know? Coming in here and all these damn games. And, oh, you look like this person and you look like that person. I don't even know who the fuck these people are. Why do you think I'd be insulted? I'd have to understand what you were fucking saying. And most people can't understand what you're saying. You know? They are scared of these people because these people end up murdering people. Had they been able to set me up this weekend before last, they would have put me in jail. And in jail, they would have Jeffrey Epstein'd me. They would have murdered me in jail. They would have. That's how it would have worked. That's what they were counting on. You know? Now, what it tells me when Pootie Twang actually says, oh, did you get a little strikey wikey? And I'm not kidding. That's how he said it. No, I didn't. But what it tells me is that, boy, I bet your group sure is trying hard. And I'm not even getting any notices from YouTube. They're not doing shit to your complaints. You know? And why? Because they know that I'm just exposing crimes. And law enforcement needs to actually investigate someone with more authority than me. And that doesn't mean those of you out there who don't have any more authority than I do. You know? That's why they're fighting so hard. And doing all this stupid shit. Because they know. They know. As far as the drug operation, the meth operation going on in Harlan, that was already being investigated before I even started doing anything. You know? That's been well known. But it's an open secret out here. Everybody knows about it. You know? But the fucking child killers who don't live around here will all tell you that it's bullshit. That they know more about what's happening in my town than I do. But there are people in town who are watching these videos who know what I'm saying is the truth. You know what I'm saying is the truth. You know? So I'm not going to stay on here long because I have shit I need to get done. I'll probably, on Sunday, I'll try to do a longer one. You know? Probably, I'm going to pray. The whole reason why you're Jimmy Seville, the reason why you guys were all spoon-fed the Hampstead account, or the Hampstead case, was because of Jimmy Seville. Because they started to realize how strong that SRI ship was. Not to mention, people saw that fucking, 13-year-old naked boy fall out the fucking windows. You know? Why did they have a 13-year-old boy fucking coming out of the windows of Buckingham Palace? You know? And, but Hampstead was all bullshit. It was all bullshit. Hampstead was all bullshit. It was used for a distraction. Because if it really was about the pedophile shit, they would have looked into Jimmy Seville's friends, and you would all focus on Shirley Oaks group home in the UK. You know? Ricky Dearman is a piece of shit. But then so is his mom. The only real thing about the Hampstead case, sad to say, were those two kids. That was the only real thing, were those two kids. But both sides were working on the same team. The good guys and the bad guys. Sabine McNeil, who was supposed to be this big advocate. She's no more of a fucking big advocate than Elizabeth Loftus is in America. You know? And I lived with my dad until I was 18 and could get away. You know? They always give them back to the monsters. That's the whole key to it. And that's the reason why I'll never stop. When I was a kid, everyone looked away. I'll never fucking do that. I know how it feels. I'll never fucking look away. Yeah, it might put me 6 feet underground, fucking dead, but I'll never, at least up until that very point, I will be able to look at myself in the mirror. I can't stop and I won't stop. You know? SRA was real. For me, it was real. For so many others, it was real. It was real. You know? SRA was real. You want to know who gave everybody? Doug Mesner was all involved with shutting down survivors. But SRA is definitely real. Do you know who gave everyone the two phrases satanic panic and false memories? The False Memory Syndrome Foundation. Do you know who they are? They were parents whose kids came out and said they were involved with SRA. Except Ralph Underwager. He didn't have kids, but he was still on the board of the False Memory Syndrome Foundation. And he went to the UK and did this interview with Patica magazine where he said that it was great for kids to have sex with adults. It was the best thing that could happen to a kid. And it was all Michael Aquino. Michael Aquino was involved. He's still involved. I don't believe he's dead. I don't believe he's dead. And I believe he's above Gabe Hoffman, but I believe him and Gabe Hoffman and Thomas Schoenberger and Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple, and their whole group of little fucking CIA pieces of shit, are all in the same group with the same fucking objective. You know? All because they wanted a war with heaven. And now heaven is about ready to bless them with the war. Even though they don't realize they've already lost. And And at this point, all they are is collateral damage. They're going to be claimed by the dark. You know, I don't think he's dead. Okay, first of all, he wasn't the type that would commit suicide. You know, take a bunch of people out and then commit suicide. But just kill himself, just by himself? No. And I will tell you, the first time it happened, I was inundated with people by Temple of Set demanding that I apologize to Lilith, which was never going to fucking happen. And that was there. But then 3 years after that, at about the same time, I figured out that my stepmother wasn't dead. All of a sudden, they started saying that he committed suicide again. You know? That he committed suicide again. So how does the dude commit suicide twice? They wanted everyone to know he committed suicide, you know? But when they're pushing a story like that, chances are it's bullshit. Because they believe if you tell a lie long enough and loud enough, it becomes the truth. That's what they believe. It doesn't, it never becomes the truth. And it may have worked with the Nazis in World War II, but it's not going to work now because there's too much information. When you can control the information, then your lies might work. But when everything is at everyone's disposal, tell a lie all you want. It'll just get caught up with all the other fucking lies in the Ethernet. You know? I bet Michael Aquino knew Epstein. I would be willing to bet good money on that. I would be willing to bet that not only did Michael Aquino know Jeffrey Epstein, he was involved with Epstein's shit. Because it wasn't just him and Maxwell running this fucking thing. You know? $1 billion enterprise. And only 2 fucking people are running it? Really? A $1 billion enterprise. But only 2 people are working it. Only 2 people are doing it. You know? Shit. Has television rotted mankind's brain that bad? You know? Because if they did a movie about that, no one would watch it because they wouldn't believe it. Because it would be too fanciful. But Epstein and Maxwell were the only 2 individuals in this multi-billion-dollar business. You know? And that makes sense? Again, if you are unable to pull your head out of your ass, go find a doctor. Because some of you have your head so jammed, so far up your ass, you are about ready to asphyxiate, you know? And that's just it, dumbass. What sense does it make that a 1-year-old took out a restraining order on me? A 1-year-old. Of a fucking 1-year-old. But there's no other police reports where I'm going after this kid. You know? There's nothing like that. But a 1-year-old. A 1-year-old got a restraining order, a protection order out on me. A fucking 1-year-old. And that makes sense to you idiots. Oh my God, when I found that out, when you sent me that paperwork along with the police, all I did was shake my head. Because it was the dumbest fucking thing I'd ever heard. The dumbest fucking thing. You know? The dumbest fucking thing I think I've ever heard. A 1-year-old. A 1-year-old took out a restraining order on me. A 1-year-old, right? Because when you say it out loud, it sounds ridiculously stupid. You know? Pakistan is not the richest country in the world. If they were the richest country in the world, they wouldn't be suffering the way they are right now. You know? But then this is also the same group that's trying to assert that I'm a fucking lizard. You know? It's just... Poorest country in the world. Okay. That I understand. That I agree with. That I agree with. I had no idea how beautiful the Gaza Strip was. I never really had paid any attention to it. No wonder they're trying to commit genocide, because they want all that property. You know? I do have to say, heaven loves me. Speaking of, I'm going to pray. Heaven, we come to you. Father, we come to you. These are some tough days. These are some tough days. And I think they're going to get worse. The planet is tilted 33 degrees the way it shouldn't be. It's spinning faster. The plates are moving. We just had an 8.8. I don't think this is all over by any means. And the sun is just inundating us with gamma radiation with CMEs. We're at the end, and these days were meant to be ugly. And we just ask for the grace, your grace, to descend upon us and keep us going. You know? Keep us going. They said 33 degrees. I just got something from NASA, the science thing. It's not 8 degrees. It's 33 degrees. It's 33 degrees. But just fill us with your grace, and we say these things lovingly in your Son, our brother's name, Jesus Christ. Amen. It is tearing it apart. It is tearing it apart. Why do you fucking think we just had an 8.8? And they're not done. And the tsunamis and all of that, you know? When I post this, along with the screenshots that I have, I'll end up posting that too. I'll show where we're being inundated and the sun, the earth is expanding and we're spinning faster and we're 33 degrees. And so I'll put all of that in there because, you know, earth is going to shake us off. That's what's going to happen. And then 10,000 or more years, and it's just going to go back to being the paradise it was, you know? They're saying that it's 33 degrees because of the water. What we've done to the water has shifted everything, and it's tilted the thing. That's the reason why the North Pole is moving, too. It's going further into Siberia, you know? And so the reaping is before us. The reaping is before us. Poles do shift all the time. Actually, they've shifted 180 degrees, or 180 times that we've had that we know of. 180 times. Yes, they even swap, but it's all happening all at once. You know, the sun is inundating us with so much fucking radiation and so much heat right now. We are being prepared. We're, you know, and people can say whatever the fuck they want. Everyone's convinced that it's going to happen in some other lifetime to someone else. Never now, never then. It's always some other time to someone else. And that's fine. If that's what you need to actually, I would rather just deal with the facts of the matter and know what's happening. To me, it just solidifies my faith because heaven is answering its promises. You know, heaven is answering its promises. We were told this time would be with fire, you know, but it's happening now. All of these volcanoes, you know, all of these volcanoes all over, and there's several super volcanoes that are going off. You realize a major eruption from a super volcano is an extinction level event, right? You know, and so, and it's only going to take one. And they're all rumbling. You know, Mount Rainier's had what, 500? That's not even, but the lava flow from Yellowstone is only 30 miles outside of Seattle, you know? And so everything is getting ready to shift and change. And we're at the end. Fill your hearts with love. That's all I can say. Fill your hearts with love. Try to become the most compassionate. Emulate Jesus Christ as much as you possibly can. Repent, because the time is here. Now. You know? The planet is pretty big, and you want to know what? I bet the dinosaurs fucking thought that too. They thought, oh, the planet is big, no matter what happens, you know? We're still all interconnected. You know, we still live on the fucking planet. What happens in Africa, yes, happens in Africa, but it's not like it's happening on Saturn or Jupiter. You know? We're all connected. That's how it works. You know? And the weather, anyone can tell that the weather is bizarre anymore. You know? Flat out bizarre. But with that said, I'm not going to argue about all of this because it'll all become self-evident. You know? It'll all become self-evident. And for those of you who are going to tell yourself that it couldn't possibly happen and that it'll happen to someone else to some other time, go ahead. You know? Tell yourself that. Don't repent. Do whatever the fuck you want. Don't fill your hearts with love. Do whatever the fuck you want. Be as mean and nasty as a motherfucker as you possibly can. But when you end up in the dark, just remember 4 little words. I told you so. Flat out. I told you so. That's the whole key right now. There's nothing you can do about the sun. If the planet is tilted 33 degrees, what the fuck are any of you going to do about it? What could I do about it? You know? If the volcanoes are going to go off, or if the earthquakes are going to go off, what the fuck are any of us going to do about it? You know? Any of you can control that? I can't. I can't control a fucking thing. So therefore, I will deal with what I can control. Fill your hearts with love. You know? I can be a dickhead on here. I can be angry, but I am on here and have been for the years that I have because I love you guys. I love mankind. I love God. I love the Word. Otherwise, I would have gone off because none of this shit has been a lot of fun. You know? None of it has been fun. But that's how, you know, fill your hearts with love because we're at the end. Or don't. And see what the fuck happens to you. But again, 4 little words in the end. I told you so. I told you so. You know? Be as mean and hateful and spiteful as you want. You're right. Who fucking needs love? Fuck love. You know? That's what they think. That's what they say. You know? And the children that they're hurting at this very minute. Because it's not like any of this stopped. What, you think the fucking billion-dollar business just stopped because Epstein's dead? Really? They just let that billion-dollar business... Oh, but that's right. There were only 2 people running the fucking thing. And Epstein's dead and Maxwell's in jail. So I guess there is no more fucking child trafficking bullshit going on. You know? Really? Really? That's what you think. Again, even if Aquino is dead, the people he was working with to actually do all of this shit with, for the most part, I assure you, are not. And they haven't stopped. What, you think they're just going to give that money up? They're going to give all that up. You know? Our government is fucking hiding it right now. Right now. And they're so damn dumb. Oh, well, there's a minute missing from the video. Oh, well, there's 3 minutes missing from the video. Oh, the video isn't even really real. Oh, well, you can get there someplace and you're not even on camera. Oh, you know, we have the files. Oh, we don't have the files. The files don't exist. Epstein doesn't exist. Nothing happens. The drones you're looking for, these are not the fucking ones. You know? These are not the drones you're looking for. Daniel Doud and all of them making all of their creepy ass videos and sending all their creepy ass emails and all of that. And their whole thing is, don't look at us. We're just trafficking kids. Look at David. You know? Yeah, Trump is pardoning who has what? Name a fucking criminal he hasn't pardoned. You know? Right in front of everybody. Right in front of everybody. And it's been the way it always has been. It's just now it's out in the open and in your face. You know? But when they think they can get all of their fucking information from Maxwell, who's a known fucking liar and a fucking pedophile, a child trafficking pedophile, but they're going to get all the information from her, but we're just going to murder the lawyers and the victims. You know? They're all ending up dead. Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer, dead. Virginia Giuffre, dead. Had they gotten me in jail a week, the weekend before last, I would be dead. They're just going to kill all the fucking victims. And what's going to happen? You know? Because they're figuring none of you are going to do a fucking thing. And why? Because that's the history of this fucking thing. Nobody does anything. Ever. Ever. Nobody does everything. Blames the fucking victims. You know? But let me come to any of you and tell you, you recount something in your life, and then I'm going to tell you, dude, you're fucking delusional. You're suffering from false memories. You don't fucking, what you remember isn't fucking real. You're just crazy. And I'm going to just openly gaslight you and see how you fucking like it. But that was okay for everyone who suffered this shit when we were kids. That was okay for us. But, oh God, we can't do it to you guys. You know? I don't know what we can do. Shit, if I knew what we could do, Mika, I'd be doing it too. You know? Whatever God compels you to do on whatever scale it is. You know? Whatever scale it is. But to look away and do nothing shouldn't be a choice. Maxwell probably isn't in jail. Fuck. When Epstein went to jail, he wasn't in jail. What, he got to be out of jail 16 hours a day. You know? Bunch of nasty ass motherfucking pedophiles. Because you want to know the thing that connects Gabe Hoffman and Michael Aquino and Thomas Schoenberger and Doug Mesner, a.k.a. Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple, and all of Sewertown, Geo Farnsworth and Tara Joyce and Daniel Doud and DeFango and all of them, they're totally unlikable. They're totally unlikable. Oh, Sarah. Maybe that too. I can't say one way or the other. I'm pretty certain with everything that I've dealt with Doug that's true for him. But they all suck as people. They all suck as people. You know? They all suck. People watch fucking Daniel Doud and come and tell me, dude, that dude just makes me feel creepy. He makes me feel dirty. Uh-huh. Because that's what they do. And they think they're superior. You know? Only in their deluded little minds. But I'm sorry I wasn't on here at 11. I just had shit I had to do. This actually has been kind of fun. Quite fun. You know? Quite fun. And illuminating. You know? They do think they're gods. They do think they're gods. That's the reason why heaven is letting them prove it. They all think they're gods. So heaven's giving them a chance to prove it. All they have to do to win is to march their asses right straight into the fucking dark and take their souls back. And since they're all gods, it should be easy peasy. It should be easy peasy. All they have to do is march right into the fucking heart of the darkness and take their souls back. Easy peasy. Unless they're not gods. If they're just men, their shit is not going to go well for them. Would you quit? It's allergy season for me and the dogs. Kind of sucks. Okay, I'm out of here. I'm at an hour. So thank you guys. This has been a pleasure. I'll see you on Sunday for sure. If not before.